I cannot. I am having. Somebody gave me a really nice laptop. And I cannot get it to work for me for nothing. Well, this is not a really nice laptop if I can't get it to do what I want it to do.
Okay, we are live.
Well, I like that banner.
What banner?
The Sickle Cell Experience banner. The Sickle Cell Experience live.
All right. So today's topic is Christmas and why we don't celebrate it. This is not a reflection upon everyone from the Sickle Cell Experience team, just those who feel that way. There may or may not be a difference of opinion joining us today, but for now, you got us. I am the co-creator and co-host of the Sickle Cell Experience Live. I'm also a filmmaker, photographer, writer, author, mother, and the child of a sickle cell patient. And KC, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Ken Carson here. I go by Brother KC. I am a team member of the Sickle Cell Experience, who handles the sickle cell prayer over pain, sickle cell POP, along with Brother Jody Johnson and Sister Stacy Soteli. And I am a minister, an advocate, a sickle cell patient. I am a golfer. I am many things, and happy to be here is what I am most.
All right, Master, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Master Berta, Chicago, Illinois. I too am a member of the Sickle Cell Experience. I would call myself artist. Myself and along with Tracy and Dorian. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're just going to jump right into this. Let's all start by making our declaration to celebrate or not to celebrate Christmas. That is the question of today. And my answer will be and will forever be no. I do not celebrate Christmas, and you will hear my reasons shortly. But let's move on. Let's go down the line.
Now for me, to celebrate or not to celebrate, I am choosing not to celebrate Christmas. And my reasons will also be forthcoming.
I too choose no. However, I do buy, but I don't celebrate.
So you buy Christmas gifts, but you don't celebrate. Like you don't.
I just buy. I don't wrap nothing. I don't do none of that. Like I ask my kids, what they want. But they don't even have to wait till Christmas to open it. They can say, "Oh, I want this," and then I'm gonna just go get it, right? And then if I go get it on the third, you can open it up on the third. Or you could choose to wait if you want to. It's up to you. Yeah. But I don't want them to go without, because I like, growing up, I used to see people open up and I ain't much nothing to open up. So I just don't want that for them.
Okay.
Yeah, I can definitely feel that too, brother. That's I feel that it's a different choice when you have children. It is, and a difficult choice to make. So I like the way you work that out.
Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to share it to Facebook.
So my question,
Okay,
Brown,
so,
is with the child, what do you do?
so my daughter's birthday is in December. So it's a little bit easier for me because I could just go all out for her birthday and I kind of feel like she's not missing anything. Although a part of me, like lately, because before I knew, then what I know now, like Christmas used to be my favorite holiday. So I would really go all out and the decorations. Before I had a child, I had like the Christmas tree with all the gifts that went like all the way to your front door type. So I feel like sometimes I'm denying her in seeing like just how I used to do it, not even denying her like Christmas because I don't feel that she's missing anything, right? So as far as like me feeling like, oh, I need to celebrate Christmas, it isn't that deep for me. It's just that. So yeah.
That's what I'm gonna punch off camera here for a second, guys. Forgive me. I just want to pull up the verse that I just thought of.
Okay. Yeah, I make my decisions based off of my religion. And I know for a fact that I think if my mother would have known the things that I know now, I probably would not have the same memories that I do. So I just make sure my daughter knows that you don't need a day to celebrate love and family and gifts. And as long as you know what loving other people and being given means, Christmas is just another day of the week. So what about you, Master?
That's part like the whole religion. So like my grandfather, he raised me and he was a preacher. So, like my whole life was church, however, once I got older and started learning better, like it was just like, are y'all really following religion? Like, are y'all really following God or are y'all following denominational beliefs?
Right.
Like, are y'all doing what God want or are y'all doing what the people want? So, but then also too, right, is I just felt like you have to be some type of, I ain't trying to be rude, but this is how I have to put it. You gotta be a special kind of fool to work your whole year. Like you work, you hustle, whatever it is that you do, you save up money, whatever it is that you do to get the money. And then you turn around and buy stuff, and then you tell your kids, some fat white dude did it. Yeah, yeah, like as if they already don't have enough, and like they already took everything, all the inventions and things of that nature. Like they already take credit for every single thing. You think I'm gonna give them credit in-house for stuff I can control? No.
Yeah, that's true. Even when I was thinking about like before I made the conscious decision not to celebrate Christmas, I was like teeter-tottering. And even then I still didn't. There ain't no Santa Claus. Like we're not finna lie here. Like this is not how I want to live my life with my child. I don't want to lie to her. So I'm not gonna lie and tell her, oh, that this jolly white fat guy giving her gifts. No, it's me. And whoever else gives them to you is how you got them, not Santa. So yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Well, for me, it also is in regards to my religion and my religious beliefs, and my having to started watching this guy. His name is Rob Skiba, and he does a lot of really amazing research into mythology and biblical references, things that relate to, you know, biblical scriptures, but also manifest themselves in world mythology and religions. And through his studies and the studies of many others, you know, I basically discovered that, well, one, all of the practices that we use to worship Jesus during Christmas are actually pagan practices that are used to worship who Rob identifies as the AntiChrist, and that's this god named Nimrod, who was the ancient god of the Babylonians, and who is what they call the man of many names. Nimrod was known by different names by different cultures, and he's the one who was responsible for building the Tower of Babel, for starting many nations like Egypt and Babylon, and where did they send the guy who got thrown off the boat and swallowed by the whale? Who's that?
Jonah.
Jonah. Yeah, he went to Nineveh. Okay, the city of Nineveh is also attributed to Nimrod. And so through his research, what I actually learned was that, you know, all of these practices, the Christmas tree, the decorating of the Christmas tree, the stars, the lights on the Christmas tree, and all of these things are representations of worship of basically the Nimrod mythology, which is kind of deep. It's again, if you look at the different world religions, you can see a lot of the same mythology. They're basically based on three entities. For Nimrod, it was Nimrod, his wife Semiramis, and their son Tammuz. And Nimrod was killed and chopped into 13 pieces, and they recovered all the pieces except for one, the 13th piece, which was supposed to be his phallus. And so that's why we have all these phallus symbols throughout many of the ancient religions, including the what are those things in Egypt that, and oh God, I hate when I can't remember what things are called, or names of heaven. Not the pyramid, but the tall, thin things, spheres that they had, that they would stand up. They're like, I mean, really representative. George Washington's monument is one. I can't think of what it's called. Oh, gosh, I hate that. Well, in any case, the Christmas tree is just another phallus symbol. Okay, the lights that are wrapped around the tree are basically representative of the stars of heaven, and it all breaks down to a worship of Nimrod and the heavenly host. And Nimrod is represented in the heavenly host as the great warrior, which I think is Orion, the constellation Orion, the great warrior. And all of this stuff is basically just ancient pagan worship. And one of the verses that I just pulled up is from Revelation. I just pulled it up and it just left my mind that quick. Revelation 18:4. It says, then I heard another voice calling from heaven, and it says, come away from her, my people. Do not take part in her sins, or you will be punished. Now, in other interpretations, it says, come out of Babylon, my people. Do not partake in her sins. Babylon is called the Great Whore, and is representative of the nations having gone whoring after other gods, which is what Israel was warned not to do. And so, just discovering all of this aspect of the worship, the Christmas tree. I'll share something else with you. Let's see. And Jeremiah, I think it's Jeremiah. It says, this is what the Lord says, do not act like other nations who try to read their futures in the stars. Do not be afraid of their predictions, or even other nations, or even though other nations are terrified by them. For their practices of the practices of their people are worthless. They cut a tree out of the forest, and the craftsman shapes it with his chisel, and then they adorn it with silver and gold, and they fasten it with a hammer and nails so it will not totter. And when I read this verse, that's exactly what we used to do when we were kids. I mean, we literally were surrounded by woods, and we would go out into the woods and get a pine tree. We would cut it down. We would drag it into our house. We would take nails and nail boards to it so that it wouldn't teeter and totter. Then we would dress it up with silver and gold, put a big old star on top of it. And so this is in Jeremiah, which is, I wish I could tell you honestly how many thousands of years ago this was written, to show you that we're still practicing those same pagan practices that the Lord told Israel not to do, and that they're still representative of the exact same things, and that is the pagan god Baal, who is also another name for Nimrod. And so as the times, I feel, get later, and again, and this is something that, even as you get older in life, and you start to realize that, your time on earth may be coming to an end, and how you're going to worship your God matters. And many people feel that we're coming into the end times, and the difference that will really make a difference is whether and how and to what degree we are still participating in Babylon, which is basically the world system. And this system of Christmas celebration, again, all of the lights and all this stuff is really worshiping Christ with pagan practices. We bow down and put presents under the tree. We bow down and we take presents from underneath the tree. It's a system of worship, and it's a worship that I can no longer practice and call myself a follower of Christ. And so, I'm looking to find other ways to connect with my family around the traditions that we've built around Christmas, because I know how hard it is to, disconnect from some of those traditions. And I had another placard that, where Jesus is talking about the Pharisees and their willingness to, set aside the things of God for their own traditions. And he really criticized them for that. And so I feel like that's one of the really strong things that moved me, is that, am I going to choose my traditions, or am I going to choose to worship the true God? And so those are some of my reasons for falling away from the regular practice of Christmas.
When you say the God, is that being Jesus?
Yeah, well, yes, God, Jesus was the Messiah, who was recognized and identified himself as God, Yahweh, represented in the tripart God, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And so Jesus identified himself as God, the Messiah, throughout the prophets, and the Mosaic law was identified as God coming to earth as a man. And so, yeah. So when I say God, I do mean Jesus, and when I say Jesus, I do mean God, and that God would be Yahweh or Yahweh, Hovoke, however you pronounce the 4 letters that they use to represent that name. Yahweh, Jehovah, however you want to pronounce it.
Cool.
Okay, so I totally I understand where you're coming from. I kind of feel the same way. I have a strong and this is my thing. I'm going to put this disclaimer out because I say this to everybody. What I choose to or not to celebrate is my prerogative, just like it's anyone else's. I can only tell you the truth, and you decide what you want to do with it. I'm never going to, judge another person for what they choose to or not to practice. So, because that's not my place. But I will say this. There's a lot of Christians that say, oh, I don't celebrate it for the pagan holiday. I just celebrate it because it's Jesus' birthday. Now, people, now. That's like saying my birthday's in February and we don't celebrate it until September. Because why? I was born in February. Why not celebrate the person that's born when they're born? Jesus was not born December 25th, people. It's not his birthday. It's just a day that is recognizing pagan rituals, pagan traditions, pagan beliefs, pagan gods. So when you decide, oh, this is how I'm choosing to celebrate it, that's fine and dandy, but just make sure you know the truth behind that. Because you're saying, that's like you're saying, well, I know Valentine's Day is a pagan holiday, but I'm celebrating for the love of God. No, that's not how this works. You can celebrate Jesus, God, whoever you might want to call him, Yahweh, and every day of your life. And yes, the 25th is a day to celebrate him as well. But if you're doing that, mixing it in with pagan rituals, that's different. It's not the same. Where in the Bible does it say put up a Christmas tree for Jesus?
Where in the Bible does it say it's the 25th?
Where does it say that?
Where in the Bible does it say that we celebrate his birthday at all? That's just not part of it. It's not part of what the Christian church, the original Christian church, did not do that. I mean, what we have to understand is that the church manifested in 2 ways. There was the church that manifested in Jerusalem, which was mostly Jews, okay? And then Paul, who was the preacher of the gospel to the Gentiles, and he, took it out into the world. Now, the Gentiles had other worshiping practices. And so when they couldn't crush out Christianity through persecution, which is what the Romans tried to do, ultimately, the Roman Emperor Constantine embraced it. And when he embraced it, he brought Christianity into the pagan world and just mixed it with all of the pagan practices that the Romans were already doing. And the Romans worshiped many gods, okay? And that's how the Roman Catholic Church developed and changed the practice of what the original church was practicing into the pagan practices of Christianity that developed into Mary worship and baby Jesus and all of that mess. Again, it really breaks out to the same worship practices that they had with Nimrod, Semiramis, and the baby Tammuz. Okay, it's only they changed it and made it into a Christian trinity of, you know, Father God, Mary, the mother of God, the mother of Jesus, and then baby Jesus, you know. And now instead of going directly to Jesus, who came to earth to save us, you have to go through Mary to get to Jesus, okay, in the Catholic mindset, because they're not really worshiping Jesus according to the original way that Jesus was worshiped and understood as the Messiah. They're worshiping him as it was understood by the pagan mentality, which has always been Nimrod worship. And so again, it's hard for people to accept that, and I don't mean to offend my Catholic brothers and sisters, because I know you guys love Jesus too, just like I love Jesus. Okay, but again, you know, you don't have to go very far to find this research that, you know, that bears this stuff out. You know, all you gotta do is Google it. You know, Google, you know, Mithra and the worship of Mithra, which is another name for Nimrod. Okay, and you'll see that this stuff really does. I mean, there's so many people who have done so many teachings on this. Walter Reed is another guy who I listened to, who talked about how, you know, the Catholic worship is Mithraism. Mithraism, I think he calls it. And so when the Romans took over the world, okay, you know, they took over a pagan world, and they put the, you know, the Catholic stamp on everything, which was to take pagan practices and place Jesus's name on it somehow. And so they took Easter, which was actually the worship of Ishtar, which is another name for Semiramis, the wife of Nimrod. Okay, Ishtar, Isis, and many other names, the queen of heavens, that the Israels were told not to worship. You know, Columbia, you know, that our capital of the United States is the District of Columbia. Wonder who they're worshiping there. You know, all of these pagan ideas and worships, you know, have just had to have a Christian stamp put on them by the Catholic Church that owned the world at one, well, probably still owns the world. But again, you know, like Shabrian is saying, you know, I'm not telling you what to believe, how to worship it. I'm telling you, look it up for yourself. Okay? Jesus was not born on December 25th. If you look at the star structure that is spoken of in Revelations, when it talks about the woman who was going into the wilderness to have the child, and there was a dragon that was over her, and this constellations that were involved. It really does bear out to be like he was born in September. And Rob Skiva's research, he thinks it's September 11th. And so, you know, you can research it for yourself and figure out what you like. But the bottom line is, the person who was born on December 25th is Nimrod. Nimrod and Osiris and Baal and all of these other people by who Nimrod is known by. And so again, all I can say is this, okay? If we go all the way back to Mount Sinai and we look at when Moses went up into the mountains, right? And the Israelites are sitting down there and they're saying, okay, we don't know what happened to this Moses. Aaron, make for us a god. And so Aaron says, give me all your gold. And he makes for them a calf, okay? And this calf was one of the gods that they had been worshiping in Egypt before they were brought out of Egypt. And they said, okay, O Israel, this is the God that brought us out of Israel. And we will call him Yahweh, and we will worship him. Okay? And that didn't work out real well for them. Okay? They were saying the same thing that we're saying at Christmas, that this false worship that we're doing is representing the true God. And Moses came down from the mountain and he smashed all that. And so again, you know, I just can't do it no more personally. You know, it just doesn't, you know, I'm going to have to find out how to truly worship God, even though it's been all that I've ever known is Christmas. It's been all that most of us have ever known. None of us would even really think to do, as Christians, to do anything else unless we really researched it and got new knowledge. And that's what happened with me, is that I got new knowledge to understand. And there's some great books that are written too concerning this. And man, I'm trying to think of the name of the guy now. I can't. I'm going to stop thinking about it because it might pop into my head. The guy who writes about the, oh man, my pastor told me about this book. I just can't think of the name of it right now, so I'm going to stop thinking about it. But in any case, it's easy to find this information if you really care to. But again, if you're comfortable with the traditions that, you know, we've had all our lives, hey, you know, maybe that excuse will work. You know, I don't know.
Master, do you have anything you want to add?
No, no, not really. I do want to say this though. I'm paying attention. Might look like I'm not, because I'm working off only like 2 hours of sleep.
I'm not even on camera.
Since yesterday.
Oh
Yeah, I'm not, you know, but I'm paying attention.
Yeah, I apologize. I don't even know
So,
if I'm on camera.
just saying that in case it looked like, is he not? No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I am tired. I am very, very tired. But
hey, where are you at, Master?
I just been working in pain like all night, like literally 2 hours.
Are you in California?
No, I'm in Chicago.
You're in Chicago, okay.
Yeah. I can get a real quick wake me up, like, you know, you can get a quick one if you just poke your head out the door. It's over with.
Yeah, that's for real. You get a quick wake me up.
Yeah.
I totally understand. You see, I had to go get me some gum. I'm like, look.
Yeah. Like, I'm telling you, you see what I was just doing. Go look at my labs. I was up to about 3, 4 in the morning doing them. Yeah, like I said, I tried to go to sleep and then woke up at around 6 or 7 o'clock. So, and then been out ever since till I just came back in. So,
Gotcha.
But yeah.
All right. Marissa, do you have anything you want to add? I see you came into the room quietly.
Marissa stood us up.
Okay.
Oh, Jody said he was with his daughter, by the way.
Oh, okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, I will say this. I also have research. I have done a lot of deep diving over the years, and it led me to, should Christians celebrate Christmas? It's an article written December 24th, 2019. And just to sum it all up, there are different Bible verses that let you know for a fact, no, this is not something that you're supposed to be celebrating. This is not supposed to be done. One being God minces no words here. He condemns those heathen customs, these doctrines of vanity.
Wow.
And many other scriptures, God forbids learning and copying the practices of pagans. This is like Leviticus 18:2-4, 22-24. So in this article, it says clearly he does not want people keeping pagan festivals and traditions. Sorry, my iPad just died. So yeah, that would have been great to know. I will link the article when I charge my iPad back up. Unfortunately, it takes forever to charge, so it was not fully charged when I looked
That's
it
a
up.
nice ring light, Marissa.
Huh?
That's a really nice ring light.
Oh, thank you.
See it in the glare.
Did you say Leviticus 18:22?
I believe that's what I said. Or 2022. There was different ones. But like I was saying, I have the article. Pretty much in the article is asking, as a Christian, is this something that we should be celebrating? Is this okay? Is it okay to recognize it as Jesus' birthday? And the answer is no. And the answer is also Jesus, like you said, Jesus did not even celebrate his own birthday. If we're going to go with that reason, nor did his disciples, nor did his disciples celebrate his birthday.
Well,
So
you even have to go to the thought of that, like, what? Well, I don't know about the other Bibles because they changed. They not the original thing. So in the King James version, well, could anybody point out a date? Period, though. There's no date.
date and what? I'm sorry, I didn't say anything.
There's no dates. No dates in the Bible.
No, not really. No.
Yeah, so it's like, how did you just come up with the number? Like, you just come up with, oh, well, we'll just call it December 25th. Like,
Oh, that's what you're talking about. I was like, what? No, exactly. And there's different ways to tell, but Jesus was not even born in winter. Like, again, what Casey said. So there's just a lot of reasons why I choose not to personally. And I feel like sticking to my word and doing something in the name of God can never be wrong. So whether or not other people see it, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay. All right. That's how I feel. You do you, boo. I do me.
So do everybody here read like the King James version, or do you all read something different?
Well, none of the verses that I read were from the King James version. I read from the New International Version, and one of them was from the Berean version. Revelation 18:4. Then I heard another voice calling from heaven, come. See, and in the King James version, it would say, "Come out of her, my people." And in this version, it says, "Come away from her, my people." Okay. And so
that version though, right? Is that version.
What version is that?
The New International Version. I used to read it too. But it's the end of the Bible says, "Don't add to or take from," right? And so, with that being said, those are all, like, when it comes to the King James Version, like the other ones are added to and taken from, because none of them can have like anything else is like plagiarism, basically. Anything
Right.
else?
And again, you can't take, you have to take that verse in context where it talks about don't add to or take away from it. And again, that would be a good Bible study. You know, the way that people apply that verse is just not correct. And I don't want to go into that now, but I really would suggest that, you know, you invest, first of all, look up that verse and read the verse before it. And I guess there isn't a verse after, but if that's the last thing that the Bible says, but I'm not sure that's actually the last thing it says. You know, read it and read the verse before it so that you can take it in context. And again, a lot of people like to take pieces of, you know, the word and just apply it any way they want to. And you can't do that. Okay, you have to take everything in context. And so when it talks about do not add or take away anything from this, what is the this that they're talking about? Okay, people say it's the Bible as a whole, but again, you know, I mean, we could look it up right now if you like, but I kind of like to make sure that I'm taking things in context. And that's all that.
We can talk about it later.
Oh, am I the only one here that actually does celebrate Christmas?
Yep, it's you. I was waiting on that to come.
You the heathen that we were talking about. I'm just kidding.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. About I was raised in the church. I'm Southern Baptist. I believe in God. I believe Jesus, Christ, Savior, all of that wonderful stuff. But I also believe that holidays in this country have taken on a more cultural significance than a religious one. Personally, I feel like we have holidays in this country and we've like split them kind of down the middle. Like there's a tree in my house right now and it's decorated and there are lights and there are, you know, poinsettias and there's gifts coming. Well, my mom hid them already, but there's gifts. You know, we have stockings. I think that that whole celebration of Christmas with all of those things, Christmas lights on your house and whatever, I think that is a cultural thing. I don't see that as a religious symbol. The buying of presents, that's a cultural thing that we do in America. It's an American thing, like barbecuing on the 4th of July. I don't see the Christ in Christmas on that note. Now, you want to talk about, do you go to church on Christmas? Do you believe that Christmas is when Jesus was born? Do you think that, you know, this is even a date that is correct in dealing with his birth? I don't believe that this was the date, but I do believe that this is the day that we have chosen as a world, Christian world has chosen outside of the US and within to say, we're going to celebrate it now, and we're going to celebrate it here on this day. And I just come from the school of thought in that it just probably makes it easier. Like truthfully, we want to celebrate it, not quite sure exactly what had happened, or we disagree on exactly when it happened. So guess what? Let's just go ahead and make it this day. And this is the day that we're going to celebrate it and keep it pushing. Now, I grew up with a very religious people in my life, my grandfather being one of them. He did not believe in churches, but he believed in God and his Bible. And he was a scholar of the Bible. And what he told me about Christmas was you know, celebrate with the family, because he didn't celebrate with us when we were like every Christmas Eve. My family, Shabrian, know she's been there. It is toy unwrapping central. I mean, my family is massive, and it's like all the kids are unwrapping their gifts and stuff. And we do this every year at Christmas Eve. And my grandfather would never join those, and he would never join us at church because he didn't believe in the construct of church. That's another for another day, another story, another day. But he did make sure every Christmas to pull me aside and to explain Christmas to me. Pull me aside and make sure he read the Bible stories that went along with it to me. Made sure that I understood that the trees and the poinsettias and the gifts and all of that, you know, was completely insignificant to Christ and his birthday. They're two different things that we've mashed into one. So I've always come from the thought that I don't see a lot of Jesus in Christmas. I don't see that. I see it as a cultural holiday. Okay. I see it as a day where friends and family get together that you probably would not see throughout the rest of the year. And you get to catch up and you get to enjoy each other and you have food and drinks, and you know, it's a beautiful time to be with those people. And it's a convenient one because, you know, people got the day off. Kids are not in school. It's all been socially constructed for that purpose. So, okay. I don't think that that's wrong. And I don't think that that makes me any less of a believer or any less of, you know, a Christian, that I see it that way. Then
And I think it's important that, you know, we understand that everybody's, you know, beliefs and understandings are valid here, even if they're not all necessarily true, you know, because belief and truth do not always mix. But again, it is true that is a family tradition. And I think the most important thing that we get out of it are the traditions that we have in our family and the togetherness that it brings us in our culture. But as a Christian, and this is just for me, as a Christian, and again, with the research that, you know, I've done and things that I've seen, you know, I understand that the implements that we use are not something that are new, that these are ancient practices. Again, the Bible verse that I read out of Jeremiah, like I said, Jeremiah is like, you know, 1400 years before Christ. And they were doing these exact same practices, okay, 1400 years ago. And so there's a reason why it's a part of our culture, because it's a worldwide, what I would describe as AntiChrist culture. And culture has existed forever. I mean, it's existed ever since Nimrod, who again is described as the first Antichrist.
Antichrist is tough.
Yes,
Word.
as the Antichrist.
Word.
And so these practices are an ancient cultural practice that didn't start in America. Okay, these practices started, you know, in Europe and in Asia, you know, and in Babylon and Persia and Egypt. Okay, these are where these practices came from, and they are endured through the ages to still manifest in our culture today. And so as Christians, and this is just my opinion, you know, it just seems like it would behoove us to be aware of the practices that we do and why we do them and where they come from. And like I said, it's not difficult to find this research online and to find out what these things represent. And, you know, so again, it's easy to just, you know, not do the work and just go with the tradition. And many people do that. And I'm not hating you for that, because, you know, my family has a great Christmas Eve tradition, and I'll be there this Christmas Eve.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
You think that, like, truth is based, especially when reading, like, truth is based off of interpretation? Like, some of those, you know, we can all read the same thing and interpret it totally different.
Yeah.
So just like you saying that you have this information that one could read, I'm sure there's someone in the world that has read that same information that can tell you that what he got from it is why he should celebrate.
Yeah, well, I'd like to have a discussion with that person and see if we could, you know, talk that through, because that's what it's about. It's about being able, see, the thing about the truth is that it will manifest. Okay, it manifests in reality. It's not just words, it's not just ideas. Truth manifests in reality. Okay, and so if your words are matching with reality, okay, then it's just not your opinion or your interpretation. It's actually true.
But our realities might be different, you know, like.
I'm sorry?
Our realities might be different, no different
Well,
than,
you know,
like no different than where we come from.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you talk.
I was gonna say no different than like what two people might come from, you know, two different types of neighborhoods or something like that. Like, they have two totally different realities. So what one might read and he take it that way, and I might read it and take it a totally different way. That's my reality of it. So this is why that's my truth.
Okay, but again, we got to get beyond our ideas about truth and to what is manifesting as truth. Because just because you have a different cultural way of looking at something doesn't make it true just because it's in your culture. Because again, it's just your cultural knowledge of it could be a lack of knowledge, a lack of truth. That's your experience. I understand that. Okay.
And vice versa,
but your
right?
experience doesn't manifest as truth. Okay. The truth is, and vice versa. Like I said, two opposing views. Okay, here's how you have to look at it. Okay, two opposing views cannot both be true. They can both be wrong, but they cannot both be true. Okay, do you understand that?
I hear you.
All right, so you say it's white, I say it's blue. Okay, now we could find out that it's actually pink. Okay, we could both be wrong, but we cannot both be correct. You cannot both be red and blue without a qualifier saying that, oh, it was actually red and blue. Okay, so without a qualifier. And those are that's part of the laws of logic.
But when we're talking about something that a person celebrates, though, like, us three might say, you know, why we don't do this and why we don't do that, but in another person's world, why they do. I mean, again, none of this is factual. Like Jesus isn't even factual. Like, none of this is factual. Can you go and get, like, that's all this stuff is based off faith.
Okay.
So
here's the thing. With that view, okay, nothing that has existed before you that you're not able to pull up a picture of, okay, because we can pretty much take photographic information. We can take photographic information as the truth, right? But then nothing before that can be validated as true.
Not photographic
you
information.
have witnesses who have written during that time period who say it's true. It comes down to belief, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it
Not
all
what you
comes.
can, not what you can support with historical documentation to, because that's really, again, that's what, I'm trying to think of the word up for it. It's episteonomy is, I think it's episteonomy. It's something like that. That is how we know what is true. Okay. And again, trust me, man, philosophers have been working at this stuff for thousands of years. Okay. And so how we know what is true has its rules, just like, what is true. And I got some stuff I'll share with you on that, brother, because again, these are great conversations. And again, it's nothing for anybody to get mad at nobody about or get hung up about. But really, it's about learning and getting information so that when we talk about things, we know that what we're saying is supported by something other than what we think in our head. Okay, because what we think in our head may be lacking information.
This is true.
Okay, but it's good conversations, though, brother. These are good conversations.
So does anyone have anything else they would like to add to the conversation? No?
We're loving it.
Are we good?
Oh, I was going to say we could shortly discuss how spending these kinds of holidays in a hospital or away from your family because you're sick.
Wow.
We can talk about that very quickly.
Yeah.
If we're done with the why I don't celebrate at all conversation.
Yeah,
right.
No, I'm just simply saying, like, for the last 2 years, I have celebrated Christmas once at my house, once in the hospital. The year prior to that, so 3 years ago, I was in the hospital. 4 years ago, I was in the hospital. 5 years ago, I was at home. I have spent more Christmases in the hospital than I have at home in the last decade. And a couple of those times, those Christmases, I was too sick to even celebrate Christmas on Christmas or anywhere near Christmas. Like, I think we celebrated Christmas on New Year's because they had to give me time to, like, get better, basically. But I just want to say to people out there who might be having that problem, I think it is most important to focus on your family and to focus on as much of your holiday as you can have in the hospital, but focus as much on your traditions as you can, even if you're in the hospital. It's not as hard as it may sound. I had a Christmas tree made out of lights that I put on my wall. I did a Secret Santa with by nurses. I remember that. That was fun. My family showed up, and I think we had Chinese food one year, Indian food the next. But the point was that I was with them, and that was all that mattered. And regardless of the fact that I was in the hospital, we still found a way to make the holiday a happy time. So I think it is possible. And if anyone is in the hospital, I do hope that you're able to celebrate your holiday as close to something that looks like what you're used to as possible.
Close to something that looks like what?
What they're used to. I feel the same way about birthdays. Like, the number of birthdays I've had in the hospital and the number of them that I haven't been strong enough to do anything. So my birthday had to get celebrated like 2 days before or 2 weeks after. Oh well, that part never bothered me. Just as long as we celebrated it and the people I loved were there. The rest of it, just gravy.
That's
I'm
tough.
I think that, I'm sorry.
No, continue.
Yeah, I just want to say, with sickle cell disease, it's certainly not unusual that we would be spending some of those holidays in the hospital, with it being the coldest time of the year here in North America. And so, yeah, it's significant. I mean, I can think of many, many times that I've been in the hospital on birthdays and on Christmas. And I think I'm with you, Marissa, in that it's really about, being with the people that you love, celebrating. Birthdays are about you celebrate. For adults, I think birthdays are about you celebrating yourself, and celebrating, with the people who you love and care about. And Christmas, to the degree that you celebrate that at all, it's again about being with the people who you love and care about. And, it just really speaks to, just how wonderful my friends and my family were when I was growing up, and would have those days in the hospital, and the love that they would bring to me in the hospital, and the celebration, and the acknowledgement, and the hospital staff, and what they do, on behalf of patients in the hospital. They certainly deserve, their kudos, because I know that there's been a number of times when, I didn't have anyone to say, happy birthday to me, but, the nurse is walking down the aisle, and Merry Christmas. And so, again, it's, yeah, I just want to, send out love and celebration and spirit to everybody who may be in that position this week. Again, I'm thinking, wow, tomorrow's Christmas Eve. And I know that there are still a lot of us who won't be home for Christmas. And so please know that we're thinking about you.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Now, that just changed my whole mood.
Bro, like, I swear.
What?
Huh?
What?
First I was in a jokingly funny group. Now I'm just, dang, the people in the house.
Sorry.
You can't go out on a high note, huh, Marissa?
It's all good. We all been there,
Hey, we got people in the hospital right now. One called me like 2 hours ago. And like, honestly, to the people who are in the hospital, please do your best to stay safe. Stay safe. And please do your best to, if you need to be there in that hospital and they're trying to kick you out, please call us so that we can advocate for you, because the hospitals, like, it's not a good look. I know here in California, we have less than 100 ICU beds available. ER is full, and they are not taking sickle cell patients. They're like, yeah, you're not priority. You can go home.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's really important.
Stay home if you can.
Yeah, if you can stay home.
But
it's almost like a halo over your head.
The halo. Oh, you get the reflection of the light.
Oh, that's so hilarious.
Then I was like, nah, that's Marissa.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go. Come on now. Let's be.
You say what?
Why be such a hater all your life? It's okay, Master. It's okay.
It look like a halo over her head, though. I was gonna take a
but
picture.
it's not. It's like cocked to the side, so we know it's crooked.
Right.
It belongs here.
It's like one of them cocked ace deuce
Yeah,
halos.
it look like what's the name, though? It look like a halo.
Halo cocked ace deuce. That's hilarious.
I was gonna hit you with the screenshot and send it to you.
Thank you. Okay, well, Chef Brown, do you want to close out?
All right.
Sure. I
That
want
was
to
quick.
first start by saying to everyone who's watching, thank you for joining in. If you enjoyed this lovely video, please make sure you share it around. And whether you choose to or not to celebrate Christmas, that is your prerogative. So I will say happy holidays to you. And those of you who are in the hospital, because I did not say anything on it, I'm sorry, I'm a little tired today. So I'm a little off. But I will say, feel better. Don't take nobody's mess, and make sure you get up out of there as soon as you can, and you have people who love you, and just stay close to those people who love you. Until next time, folks, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. What's up?
I just want to say to the people that's in the hospital, like, you can inbox me or something. I'll be up, if you ever need somebody to talk to or something, on an event, whatever it may be. Like, I do be up, and I'm not the person that be talking to all of these other people about your business, but I just want to let it be known, that, 'cause sometimes, I just know people do get, like, bored, and then their minds get to wondering and going crazy and all of that. So you can inbox me or whatever. And if I'm up, I would definitely answer and talk and
Okay.
chop it up.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. That's beautiful, man. All right, guys. For those of you who celebrate the holidays, have a good one. Blessings to all.
What about the one that don't?
Those who don't celebrate
For those who
holidays,
don't
bless you
celebrate the
later.
holiday, just blessings. Blessings.
We ain't got nothing to say.
Oh, man, and blessings to everyone. But for those of you who celebrate the holidays, enjoy your holidays.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, you have
Okay.
anything to say, Marissa?
And I will be enjoying this holiday with my family tomorrow evening. And as like I said, as well as informing them that it's probably the last time that they're going to see me on Christmas Eve. So,
Marissa, I think if you sent me a gift, I will start back selling.
Ah.
Stop lying.
Free gifts.
Right, I ain't gonna
You
turn
know,
down no
they
gift or
know.
nothing.
Leave people in places better than you found them, and you will find that you are a better person. Have a happy Christmas and a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year from the one person here that does celebrate. And we will catch you sometime next week, probably next year. So you guys have a great one. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.